Okay, well, Don Byers, the Democratic candidate for Congress in the 8th District, retiring Jim Moran, and Don Byer, former lieutenant governor of Virginia, the Democrat. But he's got a challenger. That challenger, Micah Edmonds, is making some noise, and he's joining us right now. Micah, how you doing?
Well, sir, thank you very much for having me on the show.
Look, it's never an easy task, Micah, to run for Congress in a district that typically votes the other way, with a candidate that's got a lot of money behind him. I mean, Don Byer, is a bunch of auto dealerships, basically a Democratic district. Not an easy thing to do, tough race. What inspired you, Micah, to get involved in this race?
We don't mind doing tough, and we generally hold our own. I tell you, in terms of inspiration, what really got me in this race was last summer when sequestration went into effect. It was a crowning achievement that Congress had basically given up doing anything substantive. They no longer were prepared to actually act and to lead, and they were taking a short-term view. They were solving nothing for our future. So I got into the race and decided that I wanted to be someone that wanted to focus on our future and get things done.
So you've been in this race now for several months. I was at a speech and a fundraiser that you made, hosted by the Disruptor Fund and Pete Snyder in Northern Virginia a couple months back. You had a pretty good turnout there. What is the one thing running for Congress now that you're 5 days out that you found shocking? Like, everybody, you kind of get into it. You think you know what it is. You've worked on campaigns, but now you've been in this thing. There's 5 days to go. What is the one thing you found to be the biggest surprise?
Biggest surprise is the number of individuals who say that they don't want to get involved. It's shocking to me. You read these polls every single day about the national mood, and everyone's upset, and Congress's approval ratings going down, the president's approval ratings going down, and people have very sharp critiques, i.e. about the economy, about student loans, about transportation. I mean, they have very specific needs and concerns about the future. Yet when you ask them to get involved, 5 days out, the election away, they just don't want to get involved. That's shocking to me.
And why do you, as you're going out knocking on doors, and I know in your speech a couple months ago that I was at, you said you were going to set a record for just door knocking, for meeting people. So you knock on doors, people invite you into their homes. What's on their mind? What when you sit down in their living room or at their kitchen table, Micah Edmond, what's the overriding issue right now that for the people that you talk to that's on their minds?
Well, I'll tell you, we just completed that goal, which was to actually walk 50% of the congressional district.
That's unbelievable.
Which gave us, we have around 159 precincts here in the 8th District, and we reached 80 of them, which put us at about 88,000 doors.
And that was when you made your speech back in August, right? That was your objective, so you met that.
Yes, sir, we did. I can tell you over and over and over again, the number one priority people have is there's this incredible uncertainty about their future. It's not just about the present, because Americans aren't really as selfish as some people make them sound. They really do care about their future. So the future really is their kids. The future is the economy. The future is we live in one of the most expensive districts in the country. Median income around $110,000. Minimum wage jobs just won't cut it. You can raise the minimum wage once, twice, 3 times, but it will never be enough to live in a district that's expensive. So people are worried about what's someone's real plan to grow the economy and create jobs where they can have a standard of living that allows them not to go backwards, but to go forward.
Micah, let me ask you this. When you talk to people and they invite you in their home, and you're in an overwhelmingly Democratic district, so you have to get people to change their mind. How have you been successful in doing that? You go into somebody and they say, yeah, I'm going to vote Democratic or I'm going to vote for Byer. You sit down with them. How do you get them to say, you know what, you're right. I'm going to go on November the 4th and I'm going to change from Byer to Edmond. How do you do that?
The first thing I tell people is you deserve someone that puts you first. You deserve someone that's actually talking about making America and your life better. So I tell them, when you talk to a candidate, what you want to know is, do they have a vision, do they have priorities, and do they have a plan? And they're shocked because they've never really heard that before. All they usually hear is an attack on someone else, a blame game, or talking about the past. They don't hear anyone talking about a vision, priorities, and a plan, because those require tough choices. And I lay out mine, and I find over and over and over again, that's what they want.
Now, Micah, on your website, you're an African-American, you're Jewish, not exactly the average Republican candidate that you find out there. So can you, has that come up, and can you kind of share with us how that's made this thing a little bit different?
Certainly. I tell you, I was sitting there the other day, and I think I was mentioned as one of two African Americans that are Republicans on the congressional ballot, and then one of just 5 Republican Jews, period, anyway. So I'm certainly a subsection of both of those groups. One of the things that has been, I think, a big, not necessarily news story, but what's turned a lot of heads in that is the fact that for the first time up here in the district, people are beginning to look at their interests more so than party. And so the African-American community is looking at someone that understands issues that are unique to the African-American community, and they're looking for new solutions. Particularly, what has made a highest impact is, although we talk about the national unemployment average coming down to about 6%, nationally it's twice as high in the African-American community in the country, while Democrats have been in charge of both the White House and Congress. So all of a sudden they're saying, this guy understands. He really gets it. And I think, and they want to try something different. And in the Jewish community, they're also starting to take a very good look at the Obama administration's policies towards Israel. And the recent news that you've seen in the last 24 hours basically puts it out there on full view, what a lot of people always feared. That is that we're looking at an administration that talks about peace, but now it's almost peace at any price. So once again, they're looking at someone who's Jewish that truly understands, has a unique understanding of issues that are facing that community. So it's been an absolute strength more than anything else.
Wow. So I want to get to the Israel situation. We were talking about this earlier, Micah, where a senior official in the Obama administration right now, we don't know who it is, it's eventually going to come out, said that Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, probably one of the toughest guys you're ever going to meet, he called him chicken and then S-H-I-T. I mean, the antagonistic attitude of this administration towards Israel almost from day one. What is up with this?
Well, one of the things I'll tell you is you're absolutely right, having been to Israel a number of times. I don't think that's probably a word that you use to describe anyone in Israel.
Yes.
In terms of this administration, I think we've seen a gradual, continual pressure on Israel that's just been stepped up. And one, we've always heard, well, you guys got to do land for peace. The United States is very critical of Israel with regard to settlements. And then pretty soon, it's turned into twice as much pressure now with land at any price, peace at any price. And that's my concern, is looking at the situation that's in Israel right now, instead of actually trying to be an honest broker and trying to bring two parties together, this administration is hammering one.
There's some that think that, and then we were saying earlier, I just want to kind of close the loop on this. About a couple weeks ago, Israel's defense minister asked for a meeting between himself, Rice, John Kerry. Basically, the Obama administration turned them down. So we're in this period of turmoil. We're dropping bombs in the Middle East. Our number one ally says, well, why don't we have a meeting and see if we can talk things through? And they don't have the meeting. Meantime, John Kerry is flying around the Middle East, tumbling about like he's an astronaut. How does that make any sense?
Well, it goes back to what I said earlier with what people are looking for is someone to have a vision, someone to have priorities, and someone to have a plan. And you haven't heard President Obama articulate what his true vision for the Middle East is. He doesn't have any priorities. That's why John Kerry's flying around on shell diplomacy. And there is no plan.
7:26.
That's just simply it. That's why we're right where we are right now. It's virtually chaos. And why have a meeting if you're not going to have anything to discuss? And that's where I think this administration falls down. And quite frankly, there are a lot of Democrats who have been pressuring the president, who are very upset with his policy towards Iran. And once again, the president doesn't have any other plan but more of the same.
Mike, I got about a minute and a half. Tell voters of the 8th District or anyone else out there why they should elect Micah Edmond to Congress.
Well, a vote for Micah Edmond for Congress changes the nature of politics. I've been out there doing what I think voters want most. They want someone who's accessible, they want someone who's engaged, and they want someone that demonstrates the energy that it takes to go up there and fight for them. That's why I've spent my time walking half of this district, actually going out and seeing people and hearing from them firsthand what they need, learning what their neighborhoods are like, learning what they really don't have there. And that ties me to the electorate. I'm not raising a bunch of money and spinning commercials and talking at people. I'm actually going out there talking to people. And that, ladies and gentlemen, I think is a change in the nature of politics.
All right, that's going to be the final word. Now, Mike, if people want to get involved with your campaign, you've walked, did you say you've knocked on what, 80,000? 80
that gives us about 88,000 doors.
88,000 doors. I got to hand it to you. I mean, that's old-fashioned leather shoe. What do they call it? Shoe leather politics. You're trying to do
it. Shoe leather politics.
Shoe leather
really
politics.
Funny.
Man,
the Alexandria Times wrote an article on us talking about shoe leather politics, and I had to remind them that I was actually walking in my old combat boots.
Oh, your old combat boots. That's even a little less comfortable, but certainly for knocking on 88,000 doors are going to hold up. Well, it's going to be tough to win. Do you have a target number? When I'm sitting there on Tuesday night and you have a percentage, is there a target number? I know it's 50% plus one, but other than that, is there a target number that you want to hit that you're going to be able to say, wow, we made a difference?
Well, I can tell you my overriding focus is I want to bring a new vision and a new voice to people. So all the precincts that we walked, I want to see higher turnout in those precincts than anything else because it'll finally demonstrate to people that actually showing up matters.
That is a very noble effort. We're going to be looking at that, Micah, on Tuesday night. And, you know, stranger things have happened, right? We might be talking to you at midnight. You might be Congressman-elect Micah Edmond. Good luck.
Well, thank you very much, sir.